Okay, hello. Welcome to day 3. We smashed day 2 out of the park. I am looking forward to getting into this. If you haven't watched the previous 2 days, day 1 we got set up, kind of failed to work with the data to connect to the database. Day 2 we connected to the database. We're cooking with gas. Day 3 we're just gonna go on. We're just gonna see how quickly we can solve this using the power of LINQ, which we started using in the yesterday's puzzle, and it went so well. So number 3, gear ratios. This is Advent of Code. If you've not seen it before, you get a puzzle every day that's in 2 parts. We're going to start solving part 1. So day 3, gear ratios. You and the elf eventually reach a gondola lift station. He says the gondola lift will take you up to the water source, but this is as far as he can bring you. You go inside. It doesn't take long to find the gondolas, but there seems to be a problem. They're not moving. Ah! You turn around to see a slightly greasy elf with a wrench and a look of surprise. Sorry, I wasn't expecting anyone. The gondola lift isn't working right now. It'll still be a while before I can fix it. You offer to help. The engineer explains that an engine part seems to be missing from the engine, but nobody can figure out which one. If you can add up all the part numbers in the engine schematic, it should be easy to work out which part is missing. The engine schematic, your puzzle input, consists of a visual representation of the engine. There are lots of numbers and symbols you don't really understand, but apparently any number adjacent to a symbol, even diagonally, is a part number and should be included in your sum. Periods do not count as a symbol, or full stops. In the UK, Britain, periods do not count as a symbol. Here is an example engine schematic: 467.114 blah blah. There's an asterisk down here. So does asterisk mean that 467 is a part number and 35? Let's have a look. In this schematic, 2 numbers are not part numbers because they are not adjacent to a symbol. 114 top right and 58 middle right. Every other number is adjacent to a symbol and so is a part number. Their sum is 4361. Of course, the actual engine schematic is much larger. What is the sum of all of the part numbers in the engine schematic? Okay, this is your classic 2D array problem. I've called this episode The Power of LINQ, and I'm actually starting to think that I might not want to solve it with using LINQ. Oh, look at this. Oh, goodness sakes. Okay. This is going to be fun. So we need to find symbols. We need to detect symbols, right? And then we need to check if there's any numbers adjacent to them. I think that's the way to do it. It's probably better to find the symbol and then find all adjacent numbers rather than find numbers and check for symbols, because that would be quicker. Okay, so if we're in an array, each character is in an array, if these are lines, if this is like a big string, we can go through each character and look for a symbol. So there's no symbols in the top line. We come through the next line and we find this. We then want to look left of the symbol, right of the symbol, up including the diagonals, and down including the diagonals for any numbers. When we find a number, we need to track back through the string, find where it starts, and then find the whole number. Okay. So what are we going to put in the database? How are we going to model this? Do we literally... So we're looking for engine... I haven't even put this in the text file yet. I'm so scrambled. I was like, right, we're going to hit the ground running. We're going to solve this in 10 minutes. these are all part numbers. I feel like if we were to do all the parsing of the part numbers, we might. That's kind of. It's going into puzzle territory. What if I was to go through... No. Right, let's put this in a text file. Let's one step at a time. One step at a time. Okay, data. Add. New item. Text file. Day 3. Paste that in. Lovely stuff. We need to go through. I think the best thing to do is look for a symbol. Has this pasted in okay? This looks different. This looks different to what I was looking at. This is definitely different. I don't think I copied it properly. Should start with 242. What's going on? Am I just... Oh, okay. I was just scrolled over a bit. That looks better. I seem to remember there being a lot less numbers on the second line. 304. What's it? At 175. We're not getting the line breaks in properly. Unless... $175, $890. It should... Okay, no, it's fine. It's fine. I think it's just a bit more stretched out here. Okay, so we've got our data. We want to go through. We want to find a symbol. A symbol is anything that's not a full stop or a number. We don't need to look through the first row. That's kind of lazy, but it's like extra logic. Last row has no symbols either, so we can go from the second row up to the penultimate row. That's handy. Okay, let's grab a day 3 puzzle importer. Sometimes it's just good to have things to do, you know? We're just going to copy this and we're going to paste it in here. I'm going to rename it oh goodness sakes, rename it. There's a keyboard shortcut there that I could be using, but I'm not. Day 3. I'm going to go into day 3. We're going to rename day 3 to day 3. Going to come down here, rename day 3 to day 3, and base is going to get past a 3. When we import this, we're going to ensure deleted, ensure created. I think tomorrow is the day when we extract all of this stuff and we actually do it in a more logical way. Today is not. This puzzle is going to get my attention 100%. Now when I import, do I just import each line in the table and then I operate on the data, or do I get all of the machine, what are they called, engine number, machine parts, part numbers? It kind of feels like I'm not importing. I'm doing the database work. If I would, it feels like I'm doing more than the database should be. If I get the part numbers here, because that's like pretty much solving the puzzle. But then again, if I don't do that, then I'm basically just dumping it line for line in the database. That's not very clever. Let's do part numbers. So I'm so conflicted. I don't know if I do want to do part numbers. This is, if I don't do part numbers, kind of having a database is kind of pointless. Let's do it. Right, let's put the logic in here. So we want What do we want? I guess we want to find part numbers and we want to add them to the database whenever we find them. So our model is literally going to be an engine part number. We'll make that public. We're going to make this a generic DB model, and we're going to say engine part number. We're going to give it an empty constructor because Entity Framework wants that for some reason. Then we're going to say public engine part number. We're going to say int number, and we're going to say should I just call this an engine part and then have dot number? That makes more sense. Let's rename this. Hello? Where's rename? There it is. Engine part int number, and then we'll have a public int called number, and ooh. Do you know what? I've just had a thought that might make this easier. If we find a number and we were to chop around that number and pass in like a little grid, right? Then we'd just be looking for a symbol within that grid. Maybe it's better if we look for every number we come across. I think the trickiest thing is getting this whole number rather than just looking at the first character. So we want to hit a number. We want to keep going until we hit the whole number, and then we want to take the length of that number, and we want to add 1 on either side, and then we want to take, say for instance 346, we want to add 1 on either side, and then we want to take a slice of the row above its row, the slice of the row below, and we want to pass that grid to engine part. So we're not going to have int number. So then then this is doing some of the work. We'll chop it up. We'll pass it over here. It will decide whether it is an engine part. I guess we could use like a builder, or we could just have like a method called like get engine part. So I guess engine part would still need to be a number. Or we could take every single number and it could evaluate whether it is a valid engine part. Maybe that's what we do. Maybe we just do like public bool is valid. Is dirty. Why is that suggested? Maybe like the engine. Get private set. I realised I haven't done that for the thing above as well, so we'll do that. Private set. So what we're going to do is we're going to pass in a string array called grid. Where in the middle line, the very first thing is going to be not a number. So this this is actually quite good, because we could do number equals, and then we're gonna have I don't know if I've done the string array syntax correct, so we'll get onto that in a second. But we're going to say grid row 1. So let's imagine our grid is like this, right? So it'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 1, 2, 3, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to go from, so this is 0, this is 1, this is 2. We're going to say grid 1, so this row at position 1. Let's do 987 just for, so position 1, which is this 9. And we want to take it to all the way to the length minus 2, so this position here. Can I substring that? I can substring that, can't I? Because that'll be a string. Grid. Would it be a string? Yeah. This will just be a string array with 3 strings in it. So each of this would be, so instead of that, it would be like this. I'm trying to have fast thoughts so this video isn't insanely dull, but I'm also trying to think about this in the most logical way. We've cut this up. We're going to go from grid position 1, grid thing 1 dot substring, and we're going to go from position 1 and oh, did it know then? Did it do grid dot length? I thought it did grid dot length minus 2 then. That was going to be spooky. Grid dot length minus 2, because the length of this is 5, right? But the final thing is at position 4. But we want the final thing to be at position, we want it to be 3 characters. So 5 long means it's minus the 2 dots, we want it to be 3 characters long. Now this still works even if this is like this, because it's still the same, right? We're still starting at position 1 and we're still just minusing 2 and we're getting to this point here. So we need to parse this, so int.parse. We guaranteed that it's going to be an integer, and if it's not, it's going to throw an error, and that will let us know that this part of the program isn't working. So that's our number. So then what we're going to do is we are going to, we've got a number, we're going to, I just want to strip out all the full stops, and so I want to kind of combine all the strings now, because wherever in this grid, wherever the symbol is, will be a valid location for the symbol. So we don't need to worry about where it is, we just need to worry about whether it exists. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, can I say join? Can I say grid.join? Grid.join? Is that allowed? No, I don't think so. I don't think that's what I want. Grid dot, how do I like join it all together? Dot like concat? Oh, no way. Can I concat? Concatenates 2 sequences. I don't think that's what I want. That's not what I want either. Okay. It's always going to be 3 rows. There could be other numbers in there. Maybe I'll just iterate through. Okay, so let's iterate through. So we're going to say, you can overcomplicate these things. For each var line in grid, we're going to say for each var character in line, we're going to say if. Now we're going to do our old trick that we did from part 1, where we say int.tryparse, and we're going to try and parse the character. We need an out var, which we don't care about. If int.tryparse, if the character, we need to convert this to a string, I think, dot to string. It doesn't like it being a character. Cries about it. If that's an integer, we don't care about it. Let's set is valid to false up here. Bools are like false by default, so it's kind of pointless. But it shows, this makes things very clear. If it's an integer or character equals a full stop character, then that's expected. So we do nothing. So it's going to say continue. Otherwise, if it's not a number and it's not a full stop, why? I'm missing a bracket here. I don't know how I managed that. If it's not, wait. Okay, I've got double bracket action there. Okay, continue. Okay, so just carry on because that's expected. It's expected that there's a full stop. It's expected that there is a number. However, if it's not one of those things, then it is a symbol. And if it's a symbol, then it is valid. So we're going to say is valid equals true. So now I just need to chop this grid up and pass it to the engine part, and the engine part will work out whether it's a valid engine part or not. So we're going to go through the day 3 importer. Okay. So for var line in data, so for every line that we've got in our data, we're going to go through each character. So for each var character in line, this is very similar to what we were doing. I'm starting to worry that we might have a little bit of code duplication here. Did we add our engine part to a database? I don't think we have yet. No, so we're going to duplicate that. Sorry, I'm jumping around all over the place here. Day 3 is an engine part, and we need to configure the ID of the engine part. Lovely stuff. That's all fine. That's done. That's the database side done. Nice and easy, nice and simple. So for every character, we're going to try and parse this. So we need to know where we are. So actually, for each doesn't work. We need a for loop. For var I equals 0, I is less than line dot. Oh, it knew what I wanted and I ignored it. There we go. Line dot length I plus plus. Var character. Ooh, perfect spelling. Character equals line position I. And we're going to what we're going to do with this character, we want to check whether it's an integer, because if it is, okay, and we're starting at the start, so as soon as we find that something's an integer, we want to carry on until it's not an integer. So if int.tryParse character out var, we're just going to use the underscore because we're discarding it, we don't really want it. Character has to go to string. This is looking very similar to what we just wrote. We used a for each here. It's completely different. Completely different. Right. If that is an integer, then we want to find the whole integer. So we want to chop this up. So we're going to say so we're in this loop, we're going through. This is the most this is the bit that's wriggling my brain, and it has no real reason to wriggle my brain. Okay, here's an interesting idea. If okay, here's an idea. Right, so we're going to say var number equals 0. No, actually it's a string. Sorry, it's a string. And we're going to say that if this is a number, we're going to say number plus equals if int tryParse, if we combine our number, right, combine our number with our character. We don't need to call toString on this because this will do it for us. If number's empty, then that's fine. If character, say, if we try and parse it, let's store this in a variable. I think this will be useful. Var is numeric equals int.tryParse. If it's numeric, we are going to say number plus equals the character. And it should be, it's happy with that. Yeah, fine. Okay, we're going to keep going. If it's not numeric, else, then if number dot length is greater than 0, then this is where we need to create our model and add it in. Then we're going to say number equals string.empty. I should have done that up the top as well. Let's change that. It shows intention better if you do string.empty. It shows that you haven't just like forgotten to write something in there. If it's numeric, let's add the next. Let's add that character, because so we're building up the number, right? If it's not numeric, then there's two things that could have happened. One, we've not built a number, we've just found a full stop or something, and it's not a number. Or two, we were building a number and then we hit a character that wasn't a number. And we know if we were building a number because our number variable will be longer than 0, so it'll be empty by default. When we add our model, we'll return it to empty. If it's just normal. We don't care. Okay, so here's where we're going to chop it up. So we need to know, we know our current position is I, and I is going to be, let's imagine we're on 346. I is going to be this representing this position here, okay? So we want to take this position, we want to subtract the length of the number, we want to subtract another 1, and then we want to take that substring as well as a substring from the row above and the row below, pass it to the engine. The engine will figure out whether it's a valid part. We don't care whether there's symbols in it, but the engine does. So we are going to say we need a string array. We need a 2D string array. Let's say var grid equals no, we don't need a no, we're adding, right, it's a string array of 3, right, because we know that we're having 3 rows in it. Perfect. Grid at position 0 is going to be equal to our line dots our var start position is going to be equal to number.length. It's going to be, what did I say? It's going to be I minus number.length minus 1. So round up position. Let's just check that. So we're here. We've got 3, so we minus 3. 1, 2, 3. Then we minus 1. We end up here at this position. Make sense? So that's our start position. Our var line size is going to equal number.length add 2. Grid 0 equals line dot substring. Ooh! I need to go up and down, so I need to know which line we're on. So actually this can't be a for each either. So we're going to say for, when we're going to, instead of using I, we're going to use row. So we're going to say var row equals 0. Row is less than data.length row plus plus. Get rid of those curlies, we don't need them. Instead of line.length, I guess we could, up here, we could just say var line equals data at position row. That's all fine. Grid equals, I think we need, this isn't new string array 3. Yeah, okay, it's happy with that. Line.substring. Am I missing a capital S there? Substring. Line dot, I think it's just because I hadn't put the thing in, right? Yeah, sure enough. So start position is start position and line size. It knows. Okay. Grid. No. That's grid position 1. Grid position 0 is equal to. Now we're going to do a quick check. We're going to say row is greater than or equal to 1 ? If it is, this is like a way of doing a really quick if statement. If row is greater than or equal to 1, we're going to say data row dot substring start position line size. However, we're going to use a colon. That's going to be like the else. Else, if it's not, we're just going to use string.empty. Ooh. Will that mess up the grid part of this? Actually, it'll just make it quicker. As long as this is a fixed size, which it is. Okay, we can get away with that. Ooh, hello. Okay, that's fine. Accidentally pinned it. And we're going to do the same kind of thing with grid position 2. So we're going to say grid position 2 equals row is less than data dot length minus 1. Well, we don't want a thing there. We want a question mark. If that is the case, we want to wait. We don't want data row. We want data row minus 1. Sure enough. And then we're going to use the same thing here, but actually we're just going to copy this, but we're going to do +1. So this gets the line below, and this gets the line above. Clear as mud? Yeah. I've not explained this very well. So if there isn't a row, if we're at the bottom of the file, then we just pass an empty string. If we're at the top of the file, we just pass an empty string. Otherwise, we grab that grid. They're all the same size when we grab them. Now we just need to pass it to our model. So we're going to say var model equals a new engine part. We're going to pass it the grid. If this works, woohoo! Okay, we're going to say db context. Do I have one? Dot day 3 question mark, because it might not exist. It does, but it might not, apparently. Add model. Right, this is this is horrific. This is so much nesting, and I'm here for it. I love it. I love a big nest. DB context. We've even got the save changes. We've got the DB context there. Let's run this and see if we get data that we would expect. We can run a few checks on this, and we can see whether. So it will pull in all the numbers. It should pull in all the numbers, but it won't pull in, and it will just tell us whether they're right, like whether they're valid. And we can just eyeball the first few, and we can see. So for our program, we want to get rid of the puzzle solution stuff. We're going to make this so much better, so I don't have to comment this out. But it's not gonna be today. Our importer is going to be a day 3 importer. And we're going to say importer.import. This is the import function. We're adding it to our thing. Okay. I feel like I've forgotten to do something. But I'm sure it's fine. Let's go. Importing. Bom, 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 bom. Fail. Could not. I said I would do this every time. I love an easy fix. Right, so data, day 3, right click, properties, build action, content, copy to output directory, always. That's all we need to do. That will fix that. Back to the Solution Explorer, hit play. Start index cannot be less than 0. Yeah, but I've defended against that. I said if row is greater than or equal to 1, then row minus 1. What bit are you complaining about? Out of range. Are you talking about this start position? If the number's right at the start, actually, we can't minus the 1. So, we're going to do that. Then we're going to say start position minus equals, and we're going to say start position is greater than 0 question mark. Then it's going to be a 1. I think that should fix it. I don't think we need an else there either. I think we can get away. Maybe not. Yeah, no, we can't. Okay, so otherwise we're just going to take away 0. Okay, so we're going to take away 1 if we're greater than 0, otherwise we're going to take away 0. It's finished importing. So let's open up Azure Data Studio. Let's refresh this, and we should have day 3. We're going to right click on that, select top 1000. Okay, right, now we just need to... Oh, this hasn't worked. We've only got single digit numbers. How? If is numeric equals int.tryparse. Number plus equals character. Number equals string.empty. If it's a number, do we just start with lots of single digits? We don't. We start with 242. Is that the first 222? Am I just doing something dumb in the engine part? Maybe I'm doing something dumb in the engine part. Let's go to the engine part. Number equals grid position 1 dot substring 1 grid dot length. Grid dot length. You absolute beanbag! It's grid position 1 dot length. Oh, okay. Rookie error. That's fine though. That's what's really nice about the database, is you can just sit there and you can be like, I wonder why this is failing. The input string 44 star was not in a correct format. Okay, so you've tried to parse something. Whew. Okay, that's annoying. So let's do this. Let's we're gonna console.writeLine the grid at position 1 and just see what's going on. And also what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to put the length in there as well, just so that we've got that to hand. I could use a debugger. I've not got an excuse for why I wouldn't. Grid position 1 dot length, and then we just pop a pipe in the middle. There we go. Okay, so let's run that again. We'll get some outputs to console. We'll see where it all went wrong. It went wrong pretty much instantly. Oh no, it didn't. Okay. Length 5. Oh, look at this. Look at this. How has this happened? 344 star dot. Okay, right. Let's search for this in the input. 344 star dot. This starts. This is at the start of a line. Beef. If it's at the start of the line, do we artificially pad it? I reckon we artificially pad it. So we've already got stuff in place to detect whether it's at the start of a line. Here. Okay. Start position equals right. We're going to say var start of line equals start position greater than 0. Haha, no. Haha, no. Start position equals 0. Start position minus equals start of line. If it's start of line, then we're going to minus 0. Otherwise, we're going to minus 1. Okay. Now, if we're at the start of the line, it's going to change how we do this. So our line size is going to be add 1 rather than 2. And we're going to want to add an additional character at the start. So we're going to do two things, right? So we'll make an if statement. We'll need some variables. So we're going to say var padding char equals, don't you just love it when something feels a little bit hacky? String.empty, and we're going to have var line padding equals 2. We're going to, instead of adding 2 here, we're going to add line padding. And if start of line, then padding char equals, and we're just going to put a full stop in because it's like a discard, it's like a bogus, it's bogus, man. And we're going to say that line padding equals 1. So we're only going to add 1 to the length, because what we're actually going to do is for each of these lines, we're going to grab our padding char and we're going to add it to that string. Most of the time it's going to be empty. Occasionally, what have I missed here? Occasionally it's going to be a full stop, and that means we're going to get a grid every time. Now if we rerun this, we should see, I hope, that there's always a full stop. Yep, so we can see there, it actually finished importing. That's kind of glorious. So you can see where we go down to 4, it's like adjusting, and everything starts with a full sometimes it can start with a symbol, that's valid, but nothing starts with a number, which is what we want. Numbers are always in the middle. Okay, now let's look at our database. Yes, 242. Okay, 276. So let's jump into the text file. So 242 is not valid. 276 is. Let's decide. Let's see whether we agree. 242 not. 276 is. Let's find 346. That should be somewhat near. 346. Did it pick that up? 346 is, yeah. I think we're onto a winner. I think we're pretty much there. I think we're good. So let's see if we can solve it. Let's go to our solution. We've got day 1 puzzle. We've got a day 2 puzzle. Let's make a day 3 puzzle. Let's right click here. Why don't you just copy day 2 puzzle? I want to just reinforce the power of interfaces to anyone that might not know. Day 3 puzzle.cs. Adding a new class here. It's going to be public because we're going to need to use it in the other project, and we are going to inherit an iPuzzleDay. It's not happy though. It's like, you're not an iPuzzleDay. An iPuzzleDay has a solve part 1 and a solve part 2. Well, control full stop, kaboo, enter, kabam. We have our methods here, and we're going to solve these bad boys. I'm just going to return an empty string to begin with in part 2. In part 1, we're going to grab our DB context. So we're going to say, Actually, what I should have been doing all this time is using the using keyword, which I haven't been doing, which is really bad. Probably. It's like best practice. It's probably not really bad. I reckon the world will survive. Equals new AOC 2023 DB context. We're going to grab all of our models from the database. So we're going to say DB context. It's like suggesting something that I don't want. And I'm like, how can I grab a little bit of that? I want to grab day 3. Question mark, because it might not exist, although it totally does. Dot to list. Right, now what's the actual point of this? 2 numbers. Okay, so we want only part numbers. Add them all up. Cool. So to list dot. I think we can give a condition inside sum. So I think we can say sum, and then we can say model where model dot is valid. Or is that what we're... No, that might actually be what we're summing. That's not the... It's trying to add is valid together. That's... Yeah. Model... So we do actually want to do model dot number, because we want to add the part numbers together. But we only want to do it where... I'm going to add a where beforehand. Model dot is valid. So where model is valid, all of the valid models, sum them together. I think populating the database with all the numbers might be useful for when we get to part 2. Let's find out. So, solve part 1 doesn't return anything yet, so we need to say var result equals, we're going to return a string with result in it. And we are going to jump into our program. We've imported the data. Tomorrow is the day when we stop messing around with this commenting and uncommenting of code, and we're gonna, oh my goodness, what's going on? And we're gonna make this work for us. But for the meantime, we're just gonna do it like this. We're gonna use a day 3 puzzle. And solve part 1, we're gonna write that to the console. Let's go. Oh, that's a big number, 500,000. Let's see if we're right. 542793. Too low. Okay, so we're not catching all of the part numbers. Let's just make sure that I reckon what's happening is on the right hand side we're potentially getting skew width. In fact, that's a good point. What about, are there any numbers that are pressed right up to the edge? Although it would have thrown an error, surely. Yeah, 920 is pressed right up to the edge there. So maybe we're just not doing anything with that. We're not doing anything with that. We've accounted for being pressed up against this edge, right? We've dealt with 3/4. We've padded this out. We've dealt with it. Could be in the top row, could be in the bottom row. We know it's a number that's in the top row or the bottom row. We just add an empty string in the bottom or the top. But we haven't dealt with the fact that a number could be pressed right up against the side, and that's why we're getting a lower number than expected. So, here we go. So, start position. Okay. If is numeric. Now, if it's numeric, right? 384, that's numeric. We're then at the end of the loop, and it just doesn't do anything with that. And our trigger is finding the next character, but there's no next character. So there's something really hacky that I think we could do that would guarantee that the next character would always be, and that is if we just took line and just appended a full stop on the end, then that would fix everything, because we'd always pick up the number then. I reckon that's kind of genius. As long as we're not using data brackets row down here, we are data brackets row. Because we could just say line, okay, but does that matter? That doesn't matter, it only matters on this one. It doesn't matter on those top two. Although I guess it does, because the line size, that will be out of bounds. So they would need, we could just iterate through all of the rows, chuck a full stop on the end of them, and then our solution would work. And I don't mind it. I don't mind it. This is horrible. I hate this. I hate how much I've nested this. I would like to go back and tidy this up, but not now. Not now. Okay. So we're just gonna cheat, okay? We're just gonna cheat. No, nobody would know. How would they know? They wouldn't know. Right, we're just gonna write public. It's gonna be a string array, I think. Yeah, it is, because we're just gonna return data, which is a string array. And we're gonna say it's like it's kind of like a bit of a cardinal sin. It's like bad, but also like no one cares. It's like a grey area. It's grey area. Data. I'm gonna say for each var line in data. Are we? Nah, we're gonna do a for loop. For var I. Oh, we could use LINQ. We could say data dot to list. Oh my goodness, what's going on? Dot to list dot select line add full stop. We could say var padded data equals data dot to list dot select dot to array and then return padded data. Then under here, what we'll do is we'll say var data equals pad data of get puzzle input from file. So we'll grab that puzzle input, pass it into pad data, we'll add a full stop to every line, then we'll run our program. Just be our little secret. 542. What answer did I give? It was also like 500,000, right? It's on my clipboard. Hang on. 542,793. 542,793. That's not changed anything. Ooh, good spelling there. Select line add a full stop. So it's got a full stop at the end. Oh, of course, because we need to actually import it. We're not running the importer. That's why it's not working. Doi. So let's run the importer and the solver at the same time. Gonna grab that extra spicy data, 544664. So that's increased by like 2000, which I guess if only a few lines ended with a number, kind of makes sense. It'd only go up a little bit. We cheated and it worked. Okay, great. Let's go to part 2. Part 2. The engineer finds the missing part and installs it in the engine. As the engine springs to life, you jump in the closest gondola, finally ready to ascend to the water source. You don't seem to be going very fast though. Maybe something is still wrong. Fortunately, the gondola has a phone labelled help, so you pick it up and the engineer answers. Before you can explain the situation, she suggests that you look out the window. There stands the engineer, holding a phone in one hand and waving with the other. You're going so slowly that you haven't even left the station. You exit the gondola. The missing part wasn't the only issue. One of the gears in the engine is wrong. A gear is any asterisk symbol that is adjacent to exactly 2 part numbers. Its gear ratio is the result of multiplying those 2 numbers together. This time you need to find the gear ratio of every gear and add them all up so that this engineer can figure out which gear needs to be replaced. Consider the same engine schematic again. In this schematic there are 2 gears. The first is in the top left. It has part numbers, so exactly 2. So 4, 6, 7, 35. It has none else. This one here only has 617, so it doesn't count. And then this one here, I think, is not yet. First in the top left. Second gear is lower right. So that's 755 and 598. Okay, so this time I need to look for stars, for asterisks. So the way I approach the first part is looking for integers. The way I need to approach this part is looking for asterisks and seeing whether... Oh, that's going to be an absolute pain parsing that. Unless I was to find... If I know the position of an asterisk, like this, if I know the coordinates within the array, then all I need to do is check the coordinates around it and check whether they're numbers or not. And if I find... If I find that all 3 if I find exactly 2 numbers, then I know that it's a gear ratio. So we're gonna need another importer. So we're gonna need to day 3 data importer. We're gonna make this import day 1, and we're gonna make a import day 2. I think that's the way to go. So we're gonna say private void import part 1. No, we're gonna say import, what are they? Engine parts. And we're going to what we're going to do, we're going to just say import engine parts. And then we're going to have import gear ratios. Cool. We're going to write import gear ratios now. and we're gonna do pretty much the first thing. We're not gonna pad this data. I don't think we need to pad this because we'll try not to cheat with this one. So we'll get rid of pad data. So we're going to get the puzzle data from the file. Arguably, we could do this. We could read the file once and pass it into both methods. String puzzle data, and let's copy that. Pop that in there, and then we could take that, pop that there, and then up here we could say blob, 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 and then pass that in there. It's probably a little bit cleaner. So we're not doing the same thing twice. Right, so the gear ratios, we're going to go through every row, every character in the row. So for each, I need to know coordinates. So I'm going to say for var row equals 0, row is less than puzzle data.length row plus plus. For var column equals 0, column is less than puzzle data position row dot length column plus plus. I love how it writes it for me. It's great. We're now going to go through each character in here, and if it is an asterisk, so we're looking for an asterisk, right? So we're going to say var character equals puzzle data at row column. If character is equal to an asterisk, right, yeah, of course, it needs a single quote because it's a character. If character is equal to an asterisk, then we need to do something. We need to do something. So we're at a potential gear ratio position now. So the first thing we want to do is we want to look left, right. Want to look left and right. They're the easy bits, right? So var left equals is this the most efficient way of doing this? I guess we could pass in the puzzle data, the row, the column, to another function. Let's do, why is this public? This should be private. Let's do private is valid gear ratio. And what we're going to do, this is a bool. We're going to use an out variable. So we're going to expect in puzzle data we're going to expect the row. I need to give the types. Puzzle data is a string array. The row is an integer. The column is an integer. And we're going to give an out. It's going to be a nullable string array. Or should I use an object? I guess I should use I should just use the, we should just make a model, right? And I should return the model. So let's come over to here, let's go to database and let's go to model. We've got engine part, yeah, we need gear ratio. So add new class, we're going to call it gear ratio. A gear ratio will just have two numbers, right? And they are multiply together. Multiplying the two numbers together, yeah. So we've got gear 1 part number, or gear, whatever, gear ratio. So this needs to be public gear ratio. We're also going to have a constructor that takes the part numbers. So we're going to say int part 1, int part 2, and we're going to have 3 things in here. We're going to have, because it's much better to store the, we could just multiply them now and store them in the database, but then we wouldn't be able to check that it's working properly. So we're going to store everything. So we're going to say public int part 1 get set private set, thank you very much. Duplicate control D part 2, and then we're going to have our ratio public int ratio gear ratio dot ratio. Don't like that. Missing part. One of the gears is wrong. Gear ratio dot ratio. It's worse things to worry about, I guess. So we're going to say part 1 equals part 1, part 2 equals part 2, and ratio equals part 1 multiplied by part 2. So that's our gear ratio. Let's add it to the database. So we're going to come up here. We're on day 3. So we're gonna make a DB set, and we're gonna call it. It's gonna have gear ratio as its type, and we're just gonna call this gear ratios. Why not? Why not? We're gonna duplicate this down here, and we're gonna configure the ID for gear ratio. It's not going to be happy with that because we've not made it a generic DB model. So we're going to pop in here. We're going to put a colon, and we're going to say generic DB model. Cool. So we've got a ratio. That's the thing we're going to return, and then we'll return from that function. So day 3 data importer is valid gear ratio is going to return a nullable gear ratio. So it could be null. If it's not valid, it will return nothing. Gear ratio. Cool. So we get given the puzzle data, we get given a row, a column, and the row in the column is the row in the column of the asterisk. We're gonna just return false for now, just to reduce the amount of errors that are currently on the screen at any one time. So our asterisks. We're gonna have a look in a grid around the asterisks, a 3x3 grid with the asterisks in the middle. So what we're going to do is there'll be other symbols, so it's not easy to split. So I guess we just want to look. Let's just have a look around. Okay, let's map this out. So var right hand side equals, so the right of the asterisk will be puzzle data row column +1. Left hand side will be column -1. That's easy because there's only one character. Top and bottom have 3 characters each, and we need to check. We need to do some checks. Really, all I want to know is whether the this is annoying. This is really annoying. I feel like I'm overcomplicating this. Like, so top right equals puzzle data we should be parsing these. Let's parse these. So int.tryparse why are you unhappy? Oh right, we need the result as well. Out var discard. Right hand side is numeric. Left hand side is numeric. int.tryparse out var underscore. I guess we could just do this systematically, right? So now I want to check the top. Now the trouble with the top is that we could have, like here, we could have a whole number above it, or we could have it like here, where there's just one number on the end, or we could have, I don't know if I'll be able to find any naturally occurring examples. There's one here where it's like .82, so it could be that. Or we could have, imagine this 8 and this dot swapped places, 8.2. We could have that as well. And we need to account for all of those. Like here, okay? So here we've got 2.7. So we need to find the 2 and we need to find the 7 and treat them as two separate numbers. However, if it was like this 128, we'd treat this as one number. So I guess there's some very unelegant ways of doing this and some very elegant ways of doing this. And the way I'm doing it now is not an elegant way. Okay. Can't parse, so you need to wait, what? No. You just need to be dot to string. It really doesn't like trying to parse chars. Okay. The trouble is, if I was to do every combination, I would have to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 different checks. That's kind of crazy. That's kind of a lot. It's not very, it's not in the spirit of the challenge. But then again, Nora is just sitting here umming and erring. So what we're going to do down here, I can do this bit. This bit's easy. So we can say if is valid gear ratio, and we'll pass in puzzle data, we'll pass in the row, we'll pass in the column, and we're going to have an out var gear ratio. Then we're going to say we need our database. So we're going to say using var db context equals new AOC db context. We're going to come down here. We're going to say db context dot add dot gear ratios, I think I called it. Yeah, add gear ratio. it's not going to be null if this returns true. So I'm going to put an exclamation mark there just to say, don't worry, it's not going to be null. And then we're going to save it. So down here, we're going to say dbcontext.savechanges. Okay. So now all that's standing in our way from solving this is doing this. Okay. We need to know the numbers as well. So we need to okay, let's just start with the right hand side. I think if we find a pattern here, we might be able to like bang it out and like maybe codify it and make it slightly better. So if right hand side is numeric, that means that at column +1 we have a number. So if we're next to the asterisk to the right, it's a number. We need to find this number. We need to get this whole number. So I feel like this deserves its own method. It's going to depend which side it is, which is annoying. It's not that annoying actually. We're always going to want to go left and then right. Just sometimes we know that we don't need to go left, but it doesn't mean we can't. Let's make another method. Let's call private int find number. And we are going to pass in a starting position for this number. Okay. Okay, and right, let's take that. We're going to say find number. We're going to need the puzzle data. String puzzle data. We're going to need a row, an int row and an int column, and we're going to call it like this. So we're going to say var right hand number equals, and then we're going to say find number. I'm going to pass in row column +1 because that's where our right hand number will start. Okay. And we're going to return an integer. So we're not going to add one in here. We're always just going to do row column. And if that first number isn't numeric, then we're instantly just going to return -1. So we're going to say if right hand side is numeric is false. So I'm just going to put an exclamation mark there to say is false. Then we're going to return -1. Do I want to can I nullify this? Is it allowed? It is, yeah. Let's not return -1, let's return null. Okay. Otherwise, we're going to need to work out what this number is, okay? So we're going to start by going backwards. So we're going to say, and we're always going to be looking in a row. We never need to go up or down. So we're going to say while we're going to say var is numeric equals true, I guess. We're going to say while is numeric, we are going to go that way first. Okay, so we're going to say we're going to come up here, we're going to say var next column equals column -1. So we're going to go left. While is numeric and next column is greater than or equal to 0. Then is numeric equals int.tryparse tryparse, and we're going to try and parse the next character, which will be exactly the same as this. Let's copy this guts. Puzzle data row column, but instead of column, it's going to be next column. To string, and then we're going to we need to start building a string to record all of this. So we're going to say var number equals, and to begin with, it's just going to be this. In fact, we could save ourselves some time here. We could do that, and then we could just pop number in here. Pop that there. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to keep going backwards. So if is numeric, why have you done that? I've missed a semicolon. That's why it's misbehaving. If it's numeric, then we need to go back again. So we're going to say next column -, and we're going to say number equals, and then we're just going to build the string, I guess. This should be next number. So I'm going to call this var next number equals next number. And then we're going to pop this in here. So we're going to say next column -, number equals next number first, because we're going backwards, and then we're going to put in number here. So all the time it's numeric, we're going to go that way. Then we're going to start again. So then we're going to take this idea, but we're going to do it the other way. So we're going to grab this whole idea, paste it down here. Next column is now going to start at column +1, because column itself we already had in the middle. While is numeric, so we're going to set is numeric to true, because we know that column is numeric. While is numeric and next column is less than puzzle data row dot length, then next number equals puzzle data row next column, is numeric equals tryparse the next number, and then next column ++, number equals number next number. I forgot a semicolon here, and I forgot one here. Whew. And then we're going to return our number. We're going to parse our number, so we're going to say int.parse number. So going backwards, going forwards. So we only need to check the corners, because if the middle, if the middle's a single digit, is the middle ever a single digit? Do we have single digits? Let's just search for number 1. Let's search for dot 1 dot. I don't think we ever have single digits. That could be a bad assumption. It could be a really useful. There's a 4 there. There are single digits. If we check the top, if we so my concern is that like number dot number is gonna throw up some issues. I'm trying to find an example of it. Like here, 7.6. What if these were exactly the same number? What if this was 444.444? No, that would be fine. Let's just crack on. We can overthink this. We can overthink these things. Okay. Right hand number equals find number. And we are going to add this to a list. Let's just do if right hand number does not equal null, then var found numbers equals 0, found numbers plus plus. And then we kind of want to do this for every other position around the asterisk. I'm like really hesitant because I feel like I'm approaching this in a way that's going to fail shortly. Which sucks if true. I really thought day 3, easy. We're going to fly through this. Left hand number equals find number. If left hand number does not equal null, found numbers plus plus. So now we're in the territory where we could have 2 found numbers. So any check after this that gives us a found that where and found numbers increases and it's over 2, then we need to return false. So if I should be doing this in a loop. This is left hand number needs a -1. So then we need to do the top. Now my issue is that if we did top left then top middle could be part of top left. So if top middle is the same as top left, then we only need to count it once. Maybe that's what we do. We do all the tops together. I think I might be overthinking this. It's happened before. It sure could happen again. So we're going to say top left number. How do we get top left? Well, we have to go up a row, so -1, and back a row, so -1. We then want top middle. Okay. we actually want to... Okay, we'll start with top left. Then we're going to go top right. Sometimes I wish I'd sat down and like thought about it before I started doing it. Row still -1 because we're on the top, but we're going to add 1 to the column. Top middle, row still -1, but it's going to be just column. Right, if top right number equals null and top right number question mark does not equal top left number question mark, because they might be null, so I think we need to put question marks in. I don't know if we do. Of bool and int. Oh, okay, I don't need the question marks. Does not equal top left number. So that's, we've looked at the top left number, right? And I think we need to do the if after we found all of them. It does, because they're all interconnected. Let's just comment that out. Let's comment this out. In fact, actually, let's take that and put it here. Right. If this could end up being some horrific if statement. If top right number does not equal null, okay, let's think about this. If top middle number equals null, then we either have the case where... Okay, no, that's good. That's good. If top middle number is null, if there's not a number in the top middle, that means a number on the left is its own number, and a number on the right is its own number. So then we're going to say if top right number does not equal null, let's do it simpler. Let's say found numbers plus equals top right number does not equal null question mark. We're going to add 1. Otherwise we're going to add 0. In fact, I'm not going to put that on a separate line because it's so short. And then we're going to do the same for here. So top left number so if the middle number's null, then if the right number exists, then we add it to found numbers. And if the left number exists, we add it to found numbers. Otherwise, if the middle number does exist, then we need to check whether it's part of the other numbers. So how do we do that? How do we do that? So if top middle number is null, then we add those to found numbers. Otherwise, so I think I can get rid of this. Can I? If top right number does not equal null. Or do I need this? Okay, so we deal with the case where let's put in the case, right? So the case is like 5.7. Then we need a case where we've got 5, 6, 7. A case where we've got 5 dot dot, and a case where we've got dot dot 7. And I guess we also need a case where we've got dot 6 dot. So these are our cases, right? So we've got one in the top left, one in the top right. We've just got one in the middle. So if we just got one in the middle, that's if, let's just logic it out. If so that's if top right number equals null and top left number equals null. Then we're going to wait. In all of these scenarios, we're only ever going to add one. If the middle, okay, no. Actually, we've actually covered these. Oh, I've not thought this through at all. No, I have. No, I have. Sorry. I was looking at right-hand number, but that's getting me confused. So we could be, we've got a case where it could be 5, 7, but that's here, right? If top middle number equals null, then, okay. This is 5 dot dot, top, no, sorry, that's dot dot 7. And this is 5 dot dot, it's top left number. What we concerned about down here is 5, 6 dot or 6, 7 dot. Either way, this is always just one number. So if top middle number is not null, I think what I'm trying to say is that we just need to add 1, because there's no permutation where the top middle number isn't null where we would add 2, right? I've convinced myself. So we could just say found numbers plus plus. Is that actually easier than I was expecting? That might be easier than I was expecting. So what's all this about? Top right number. Okay, we can ignore that. I think that's rubbish now. So now we just need to do exactly the same, but for the bottom. So let's do that. Are those cases helpful? Probably. Okay, there's going to be like 5 minutes of intense renaming here. Let's, left-hand side is numeric. We've got that right. Yeah, this is all old. Top right, blah, blah, blah. What are we returning? A bool with a gear ratio. Okay. Oh, crap. We're going to have to find which two are actually numbers. So instead of found numbers, we want a list, right? Makes a lot more sense, of integers. Then we're going to add to the list. So we're going to say found numbers dot add, and we're going to add right-hand number dot value. No, just right hand number. That's a integer, right? It's definitely not null because we're doing a null check there. So I'm going to put an exclamation mark here, put a semicolon there. Can it convert? Okay, maybe I just need to do like int. There we go, it's happy. So then what we're going to do is we're going to pop this here, left hand number, add. So we're only adding the numbers to the list if the number isn't null. So then here, found numbers, might have to convert this to an if. That's okay. So we're going to say if top right number does not equal null, then we're going to say found numbers dot add top right number. Is it happy? Yeah, it's happy. We can do the same over here, but for top left number. So if top left number does not equal null, oh, not that. Top left number, get rid of that. Else, we're going to add the middle number. Top middle number. Cool. So now we're going to do the same down here. I'm going to actually just delete all of this and recopy so that we've got our new found numbers array being used. Right, so bottom left will be row add 1. In fact, I'm just going to put add 1 on everything and that will fix all of this. We're going to replace top with bottom in everything. I should have renamed these variables like this by right-clicking and changing it so that it changes everywhere. Probably. Did it? Nope. Brilliant. Why didn't it do that? Okay. Oh, because top already exists, I guess. Bottom left. Top left. Top left to bottom left. Top left to bottom left. Top right to bottom right. Top right to bottom right. Top middle to bottom middle. Okay, lovely. So now what we're going to do is we are going to say we're going to return true. So if found numbers dot count is greater than 2, we're going to return false. Otherwise, we're going to actually no. If found numbers equals 2, dot count equals 2, then we're going to make our gear ratio. So we're going to return new gear ratio with found numbers at position 0 and found numbers at position 1. Otherwise, and no, we're not going to do that. We're going to say gear, what is it? Gear ratio equals new gear ratio. And we're going to return true. Why are you unhappy? Oh, single equal sign, rookie. We're going to return 2. You're not happy. Must be assigned 2. Okay. So we're going to say gear ratio equals null right at the top. Do we need to do that at the top? Let's do it down here before we return false. Ooh, bit of zoom. Okay, this is horrific. That should give us only gear ratios. That will return our gear ratios here, which will add. is valid gear ratio. So only if it's valid will we return a gear ratio. We'll add that gear ratio. Then we want to actually solve it. So in solve part 2, we're going to grab this kind of idea. We're going to come over here. We're going to say, instead of day 3, we're going to say gear ratios. And we're going to convert it to list. What do we need to do? It's been a while since we've looked at the problem. The sum of all the ratios. Easy. db context dot to list dot sum model dot row. Surely nothing can go wrong. So we're on day 3 puzzle, solving part 2 as well as part 1. We're going to re-import this because we need to add in some additional data. So we're going to run this. We're still console logging there. Okay, we've got... That number's too big. That number's way too big. Much like how this stream is much too long, that number is way too big. Although we were multiplying, maybe it's not too big. Maybe I need to believe in myself. Maybe I need to find some Christmas spirit. Yes, let's go! No way, I was so prepared for that to fail. Oh, it doesn't get uglier than that. That code. I can't believe that. Okay, tomorrow we're going to tidy this up. We're going to make it look a lot nicer. And we're not going to have to like comment out loads of code and uncomment and recomment stuff. That was part 3 solved in maybe the most boring way. It wasn't in a... It was... I didn't even try and look for patterns. I just wrote it all out. That's gross. Even this one was gross. We cheated. We padded the data, but we got the job done. And that's what programming's all about. It's about getting a working solution, and then someone else will come along and tidy it up, which is typically you, but from the future, who looks at it and goes, why did they write it like this? And then you're like, oh, it's actually me. I wrote it like that. Why did I write it like that? Cool. Thank you for watching day 3. And I will be sticking to a religious stream schedule from now on at about 6 p.m.-ish. I'll start scheduling them. And yeah, we'll go from there. See you for day 4. Thanks for watching. See you later.